Murray, what does a coaching director do?
Good question. Well, firstly, my main role is to be here to support the coaching group, starting with Nixie and all the coaches, development coaches, assistant coaches, and just work closely with those guys on how do we get better and how do we improve.
What's life look like for you so far? What have you been doing in your first few weeks at the club?
Yeah, it's look, everyone's been very welcoming. It's been terrific to sort of. Normally I come to Adelaide and you play football and then you leave and that's about it. So it's nice to be able to spend a bit of time and find my way around Adelaide, and got a place to live now, which is great. My car's here and all those sorts of things. So it's been very good. The transition's been pretty smooth.
What are the areas that you identified that the coaching group needs support in? I guess there has been a lot of talk around giving more support to Nixie in particular. Yeah, what are the areas where you've kind of identified the support needs to be?
Oh, it's probably too early to answer that one just yet. I think it's really about myself coming in and observing. I'm here to learn from those guys as much as anything, but really it's just observe. Pre-Christmas, there'll be some things that I can add value in, which is what I'm here to do, and I'll be probably better placed to answer that question in the new year.
You obviously came from a premiership winning side. Why did you pick Adelaide? What appealed to you?
Oh, look, I think one of the things that I've learned at Brisbane is that the journey is different for everyone, and from afar I've sort of been watching Adelaide as you do, and you watch all teams and clubs really closely. So one of the things that I've learned, there's a lot of good people here. I've learned that really quickly, and there's a lot of people that are really, really driven. So they were the things that really attracted me to the role and to the Adelaide Football Club.
What about this role in particular? What is it about moving to a coaching director's role that really stood out to you to want to take this position?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've done over my 13 years at Brisbane, I've learnt from all the coaches that I've worked under around that continual improvement stuff. So that's what I'm driven by, and it was sad to leave Brisbane, but it was time for me to come and try and make a difference, and that's what I'm here to do. So that'll be some of the skill set that I'll try to bring to the role.
With Nixie, I guess he's kind of comes into the season a bit under pressure after that team didn't make finals last year.
Sorry.
How is he going? How's he?
Oh, he's been terrific. I'm really obviously getting to know Nixie well and all the coaching group, and from what I've seen early days, I mean, he's very invested in making sure that we improve, and that's what I'm here to do, is just to try and help with that. But this time of the year is pretty exciting for us all.
What were your expectations coming in as Adelaide the club, and have they exceeded that, or what's your general feel on the club that you were expecting to walk into?
Yeah, again, pretty early for me to really give you a solid answer on that. What I have been impressed by is how connected the group is and how hard they're working together. That's been one thing that I observed at Brizzy again in the pre-season, is how close-knit the group is, and that's certainly been one thing that I've seen.
A little bit nitty-gritty, but how does the reporting structure work? Does the Nixie and the coaches report to you and you report to Adam Kelly, or where do you sit sort of in the hierarchy?
Well, it's probably alongside Nixie in that regard, and working with him and Adam Kelly in that role. So just alongside those guys, and I'll be getting my hands dirty working with the assistant coaches and the development coaches, and just making sure that again we're all aligned.
You obviously saw up in Brisbane different types of pressure of fags, you guys getting close and falling short, and it's a different sort of setup here, having not made finals now for 7 years, which you're going to hear a lot, I'm sure, in the next little while. But how can you help Nixie in that sort of scenario as to what he's going to face next year?
Yeah, I think one of my biggest lessons that I learnt in my time in Brisbane is around just keeping calm and making sure that we don't deviate from what our focus is, and that's what I learned at Brisbane. There's challenges at every football club, so it'll be just making sure that we, as I said, don't deviate, and we just keep focused and aligned.
That would have been, I guess, embodied with the way the Lions started last year, and lots of talk about fags then. Was that a real lesson in patience?
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, I mean, footies are. They're a long season, and you can't really lose belief, and that's one thing that can see that in this group. They're driven. They want to keep improving. So that's it's a good trait to have.
Have there been any changes, I guess, in which assistant coach is in charge of which line, or is it the same from last year?
No, my understanding, again, I'm sort of not involved in those conversations, but my understanding is that all still remain the same.
How about media interest, Murray? I can't imagine Brisbane Lions assistant coaches did all that much media. It's probably a weekly thing here. The change in environment in terms of the microscope, but are you ready for that?
Oh, I'll answer that again, I think in a few months' time, but you're right. I mean, rugby league is such a stronghold in Brisbane, and although the Lions have been doing pretty well to get the front and back pages of recent times, so certainly over my 13 years it increased the amount of media that happened, and there's Brisbane's done really well in the men's and women's space, so there's a bit more media there now, maybe not to this level, but we'll get there.
Day one of pre-season, I guess, how do you think it went, and also why did it come back a bit later compared to other non-final clubs that didn't make finals last year?
Oh, well, firstly, I was really impressed with the way the lads approached the session. It was good to observe, and I'm still sort of working out names and who's playing in what position and all those sorts of things, which is something I'm looking forward to. But to answer your question about that, it was always planned that the whole group would be back today, which obviously everyone saw. Yet that younger group, they've been training pretty hard away from here. In big numbers, that was one thing that really stood out to me, which I mentioned earlier on. That's and that's a little bit of handing the ownership over to those guys. So, as a coaching group, we didn't see a real need for them to come in any earlier because we knew they were doing the work.
Obviously, you don't have anything to compare for in terms of previous pre-seasons, but there were any remarks from other coaches going, "Oh, geez, this bloke's come back in great shape," or any sort of those early discussions from some of the other coaches?
No, not from an individual perspective, more holistically in the whole group. There was a little bit of a buzz, and as there always is day one. Talking to the coaches, they were like, as I said, holistically, the group were in good shape, so that's the most pleasing thing.
Winning the time trial, I guess that's a great marker for an experienced head to come in here and set that down straight away.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's a game where he'll come in and just add value is by coming in and setting the standards, and whether that be running or professionalism, and he'll have an immediate impact just by doing that alone. So he's clearly a terrific leader in his own way, and I'm looking forward to working closely with him.
Anyone in particular stand out to you?
Oh, not to me. Like I said, I'm probably just getting used to all the names and the jumper numbers and all those things, but really I was impressed with the group and the way that that's one thing that has stood out to me, is that they're desperate to get better, and that's what I've observed early.
Is there anyone you are, when you do get to know the names and numbers, is there anyone you from afar have been looking forward to working with?
Oh, no, not in particular. I think the whole group. I think that's my role, even as a coaching director. Clearly, I work closely with the coaches, yet I also have to build relationships with the players. So, Isaac Rankin is one that I've had a bit to do with coaching against him when he was at the Gold Coast, and he hurt us here last year too in a game. He's a pretty talented player, but it'd be unfair for me to single out just one. I think it's really getting to know all the players.